Welcome to the WAN Show, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a fantastic show today. How do I know? Because
it's a show.
It's Valentine's Day, and I really just felt like I owed it to you because, let's face it, if you're here watching the WAN Show, it was because you didn't have anything better to do.
Oh.
Yep. I went there, went straight there.
What if it's just not till later?
Just like us. Well, you know, for most of the continent, it is later.
Oh. Well... You know
what, though?
That's fine.
We appreciate you guys spending your Valentine's Day with us. That's right. We're here. We're here, but we're together.
Oh,
so
that's true.
It's fine. You can be my Valentine.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Happy Friday. We've got a lot of great topics for you all today. The word on the street. What street is this?
The street where you fight.
Yeah, why do people talk about things like this on the street? I want to find the street where we just talk about like tech rumors.
News?
Yeah.
Tech News Street.
Yeah. Intel Xe GPUs are rumored to be coming in configurations as hot as 500 watts.
Woo!
Woo! So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Sony is apparently struggling with PlayStation 5 Price due to costly parts. Well, that's what happens when you just build a gaming piece.
Whoa, my thing just scrolled away like crazy. Elon Musk's Starlink plan was approved for Australia.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about how nobody wanted to get Nvidia pregnant.
You really wanted to do that one, didn't you?
Wow. I did.
That was pretty good. But we'll get into that later too.
Yep.
Yeah, sort of.
It was like their Valentine's Day present.
Was that they
pulled out?
Yeah.
Intro. Emergency intro.
Bail.
Hard bail.
Run away.
The show today is brought to you by Vessi Footwear, Backblaze, blazing backs that are on fire, and PIA. Yes, I've decided to let them back into my heart this Valentine's Day, and we'll talk a little bit more about that during the spot for them.
If you're having a rough Valentine's Day, PIA.
Like what? Torrenting? Like...
Sure.
Content? Is that what we're talking about? Sometimes I can't tell what we're talking about. All right, let's jump right into Intel's Xe series GPUs. There's another round of leaks, and what I've heard is that we should expect something this year, and it always happens. As you get closer and closer to the release date, the leaks start coming hard and heavy. It is Valentine's Day after all. Hot and heavy, excuse me, sorry.
This one seems almost in direct response to the previous leak.
It kind of does, actually. So Digital Trends has obtained parts of an internal presentation. That's the thing about internal presentations. If you never intend for anybody to see it, why make a presentation?
Well,
I know. Executives need PowerPoints because they have the attention spans of mice.
No idea what's going on.
Okay, so Digital Trends has obtained parts of what is allegedly an internal presentation from Intel's data center group that gives the first real look at what Intel Xe, codename Arctic Sound,
kind of cool,
is capable of.
Down with it.
Let's celebrate the Arctic before it's all gone. The presentation details features that were current as of early 2019. So, it appears as though Intel has at least 3 distinct cards in the works with TDPs ranging from 75 watts all the way up to 500 watts, which is the most we've ever seen from any manufacturer. One of the hottest GPUs that I can remember was AMD's R600.
To clarify here for 1 second, just before people are like, this is gonna burn my house down. It's not made for... Well,
probably not, though.
But it's not really made for your house. It requires a 48-volt power connector, which is only provided in server power supplies. I'm sure someone will find a way, but this is not going to be like an average consumer card.
I want to know what the power draw of the Radeon HD 2900 was. That thing was redonkadonk.
Well, you look at that. The base card is 75 watt to 105 watt TDP. It ranges. It is single tile. And these are probably going to be more of your average consumer cards. Then they step up to a dual tile GPU with a 300 watt TDP. This will either be pretty high-end consumer or workstation level cards. It's 50 watts higher than the already power-hungry Nvidia RTX 2080 Ti. And it's in their high power category. Then the last one, that up to 500 watt, it ranges from 400 to 500 watts. It is a 4-tile card, and it requires that 48 volt power connector that I mentioned earlier. So is probably just kind of like a data center centric card.
Okay, so the closest we've ever seen in the past was apparently the GeForce GTX Titan Z. Clocking in at, I remember this because it broke the PCI Express specification because it was 375 watts. Now, there have been some other kind of weird exceptions. So the Asus ROG Matrix GTX 580 Platinum, that was a non-reference card, apparently could peak at 370 watts. The GTX 590 was apparently around 365 with the power limiter on. These are all dual GPU
I was just going to
cards
say,
so far, though. The highest TDP single GPU card that I can see is the 580. This is, I'm using the geeks3d.com database. I don't know. Can I do like a Control F3 asterisk asterisk? Is that going to work?
No.
You sure? You sure that won't work?
Yeah.
Why don't placeholders work for this? That sucks.
That would be kind of neat.
What about on the Radeon side? They've done a couple 300 watters, so the 290, 290X, and the 295X2. Yes, it's been done before. The R9 295X2 was apparently a 500 watt card.
Crazy.
All right.
Again, dual GPU though.
So not quite unprecedented. Although
Quad
this
tile.
seems to suggest that it's going to have multiple, well, maybe not, where do you draw the line between a GPU and a tile? Because, I mean, I don't think anybody looks at something like a Ryzen 3950X and goes, oh, well, that's multiple CPUs. We call it multiple CPU cores. And GPUs, in much the same way, could have multiple cores on separate dies because that's exactly what AMD is doing on their CPUs. They've actually got chiplets, so these are little mini chips, and
highly related.
And they're all connected through an I/O hub. So if Intel is planning a design like that, where do we draw the line between what constitutes a GPU and what constitutes a GPU chiplet or a? Would it just kill Intel to use the same terminology as everyone else? Could they just call it a chiplet? I don't know.
I like chiplet. I like tile.
You like tile?
I think tile's fine.
All right, explain yourself.
I mean, when you look at it, kind of, I think it just kind of looks like a tile. I don't think it's the worst thing ever.
Looks like a tile.
I don't think it's that bad. I think there's been much worse. I think there's been much worse naming schemes, including their own most recent CPUs.
You're a tile. You're a tile.
Fine, fair. What was I going to say? I would almost look at it as the ones that don't have 4 tiles.
I'm not a tile.
Or chiplets. I knew something was coming. Would be cut down versions, and a 4-tile or chiplet one would be one full unit.
Don't call me a tile. Yeah, that's fine. I got a tile chiplet. I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah. PCIe 4 compatibility as well.
Exciting. Not that there will be any Intel motherboards to plug it into.
No.
But, I mean, maybe by the time this thing actually arrives. Okay, so with this in mind, are you more or less excited for Intel graphics to enter the Octagon?
I am more excited.
You're more excited.
Because previously I think we had only heard of the 75 watt version. Is that right?
Yeah, so I think we were looking at that going, okay, this is going to be 1050 Ti level performance. But would 4 1050 Ti's really excite you at 500 watts? Bearing in mind that the rumor mill is seeming to suggest that NVIDIA's upcoming RTX 3000 series cards could be as much as 75% faster than their current ones.
I'm not necessarily saying I am notably excited. I'm saying I'm more excited.
More excited, okay.
Because it seemed like they had like a, I don't know, what, mid to low range laptop card ready to go. And then they were just like, yeah, when we release the desktop version, it's just going to be the laptop one, just on a card. And that was really boring. And now it's like, hey,
500 watts.
It's not boring anymore.
All the power.
I don't know if it's going to be good, but it's not boring anymore.
And it might be one of those things where it's architected mainly for the data center, so it ends up being like really great for machine learning or something like that. But on the desktop, it actually ends up not making a ton of sense.
It could be not really aimed at consumers at all. It could the laptop version one could be like, it goes in laptops, it goes in cheap desktops.
Yeah.
Then there could be a genuinely workstation card.
And we might end up seeing it in a lot of laptops because Intel will pull some kind of like Centrino type branding where, okay, if you buy an Intel wireless chipset and a motherboard chipset and a CPU and a graphics chipset, you have this like Intel Ice Trailwell row Lake.
You get a cool badge and maybe it's cheaper or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
we help you with
like
marketing
that,
probably.
Yeah, usually that's the way it goes. You don't really get a discount, but you get like, $3 worth of MDF. And if you buy enough of them, then all of a sudden you can buy yourself a Super Bowl ad or whatever the case may be. All right, what else we got?
Before we keep going.
Oh, yes.
Because we're done that one.
Yes.
You have a new YouTube channel?
Yes.
Should we talk about that?
And I have a new Floatplane channel.
Oh.
Well, it just goes on Floatplane as well.
Yeah.
So, okay. I am ready to talk about how it works on Floatplane. By the way, we're uploading 4K videos to Floatplane now.
Nice.
Okay. So, Linus Tech Tips.
So is EPOS.
1 week early access, except when it isn't convenient.
Okay.
Okay. So, like, if there's an embargoed product, that's going to go up at the same time.
A show.
Or if a sponsor is like, yeah, no, you're not allowed to release it, like, early on that one, we want it to go everywhere at once. We're like, okay, I guess. Or if for whatever reason we think that this item is time sensitive because, like, I mean, a perfect example would be the Kickproof TV. I think we only did like a 1 day window on it or something like that because we were deeply concerned that it was going to be yet another one of those stupid situations. Like the 2 terabytes of RAM opening Chrome tabs one, where that video was live on Floatplane actually for about a month. And then someone else, Jonathan Morrison, uploaded a video opening up as many Chrome tabs as he could on his Mac. And then 2 days later, we upload the video doing it to YouTube. And people were like, TL did it first. It's like, sort of. Not really, but sort of. And also it doesn't matter. Neither of us are the first ones to come up with that idea.
No.
Anyway. So if we think for whatever reason that it's time sensitive, then we might do a shorter window, but we're going to aim for a week. Tech Quickie, 1 week. Unless it's time sensitive, like, it's, a rundown of the latest Android OS or something like that, where it's more like news oriented.
So that'll be pretty rare.
That'll be pretty rare on Tech Quickie, but it'll happen from time to time.
Yeah.
Tech Linked. Simultaneous release. I think sometimes it hits Floatplane like half an hour earlier. But so we'll upload it to there first, but whoever's done processing basically wins the race. So pressure's on you guys.
Hey.
Channel Super Fun is back.
Yeah.
The first upload in years.
I think so.
Went up today. Well, a week ago on Floatplane. So Channel Super Fun is still going to have a 1 week window. I'm not going to promise that we would never ever do a simultaneous release or a shorter window, just because if there was some compelling reason, then we might do it. But we're targeting a 1 week window, just like LTT. And then finally, ShortCircuit is the new channel. So what makes ShortCircuit different from LTT is the question that a lot of people have asked internally and a lot of our viewers have asked already. Seeing the ShortCircuit teaser trailer, sort of pilot episode that went up on the Linus Tech Tips channel earlier today as an extra release, and then also the first official ShortCircuit video that went up hours later. I had actually intended for those to be like
pretty
a few days
other.
apart.
Yeah.
So they went up like right after each other, which is sort of not what I had planned, but it's okay. It's you know what, the team's dealing with it, so I'm leaving it be. So we've had a lot of people ask, well, what exactly is the difference? And the difference is that a lot of the time LTT has sort of become an unwieldy ship to steer. Well, it has.
Yeah, it's fine.
It has.
Yeah.
There's like, you have a gray hair in your beard.
Yeah, a few of them actually.
Huh? How about that?
Yeah. It's weird, right?
Like, yeah,
you knew me pre-beard.
I know.
And now the beard has gray hairs.
Getting gray. Anyway. So LTT.
It has been that long.
LTT has become a little bit of a big ship to steer. So when we decide to do a project, we have to tick all these boxes. Like, it has to be important enough to a broad enough slice of the community.
Okay.
There has to be a title and a thumbnail that is going to keep up the momentum of the channel.
Highly enticing.
You cannot afford, on a 10 million subscriber channel, you cannot afford to upload a week's worth of, like, niche, videos about some, weird phone with a keyboard on it. That's actually the first video that went up on ShortCircuit from some brand nobody's ever heard of when everybody else is uploading Galaxy S20 Ultra videos. That's the kind of thing that gets people to click, not interested, and quickly takes that momentum that you have and destroys it. And when your momentum goes down, it can take months to recover, if you recover at all. LTT took about 7 months to fully recover from the dip that it was going through from January to April of 2019. So we are finally back on track, and I would not do, even no matter how cool I think some product is, I would not compromise the health of the channel and therefore the health of this company in order to make a video about it. That is where ShortCircuit comes in. So whether it's something that just doesn't have enough material in it for an LTT, like one of the rules for an LTT video, along with being something enough people are interested in and thumbnail and title, is that there has to be some kind of a learning outcome. So even if it's some, stupid little item that's like a weird $2 adapter that I found on AliExpress, there always has to be some learnable thing in the video. So an example was we did a DIMM to M.2 adapter.
Okay.
So I bought that just for an excuse to talk about the different standards that exist for M.2, because some of them run NVMe, some of them actually use the older SATA protocol, and the drives themselves are not interchangeable, and also because I wanted to talk about buying weird adapters on sites like eBay and AliExpress, and then being disappointed because they don't work exactly the way that you expected them to. Just looking at that product listing, if I wasn't a really savvy shopper, and I sometimes I play the dummy a little bit in the video, I knew exactly what I was buying, guys. But if I were a non-savvy shopper looking at that product, it would have looked like I installed this in a memory slot, and then I was able to add an extra SSD to my system like that. But that's not how it works. A memory interface is designed to have direct access to the DRAM dies that are on the module. It's not designed to interface with a controller, which is how any drive, whether it's NVMe, SATA SSD, SATA hard drive, that's how that's designed to be accessed.
And there was, before that video went out, there was genuinely like fake-o, oh man, I can get like so much more RAM by doing this images going on the internet. Which
dumb.
I'm sure were just meant to be trollsy fun, but probably convinced a couple people.
So basically, even though there was nothing really to the product, there was supposed to be a learning outcome. And so ShortCircuit doesn't need that. It can be just something we think is cool. We don't have to necessarily do a ton of research and go digging to find all the ins and outs of it. There's no pressure to have the greatest title or thumbnail. It's just going to be stuff we feel like is cool and we want to cover, and we're not going to do as much prep. I have actually re-implemented the time budget system. You remember my time budgets?
Not entirely.
Oh, okay. Well, you never adhered to them anyway.
Are they like point systems on?
No, it's just an amount of time. Like, I just call it, it's like having a budget in money, but it's in time.
Yeah, that's how point systems work.
Is it? Okay.
In
so the time budget for ShortCircuit is you've got like 45 minutes of prep as a writer, 30 to 40 minutes to shoot it, and then they've got like 3 hours to edit.
So it's like refined unboxing.
It's basic.
Where you like know what you're getting into.
It's what Linus Tech Tips used to be.
Yeah.
So
you like Google, you bring the product to your desk, you look it up, you make sure you're not going to say anything super
really
off
stupid.
The wall.
Yep. And if you make a mistake, then we just correct it. We've actually already, Lloyd designed a fun little character who's going to pop in and correct us and stuff. So like
that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, it's just
cool.
designed to be more casual, more fun. It's what LTT used to be. So back when NCIX Tech Tips was too cumbersome to make enough of them and like it was such a long lead time that we couldn't hit, an embargo with an NCIX Tech Tips video. We only had like a week with the product, and usually I needed a week just to like finish my normal work and like get a script written up, and so we were always late and stuff like that. So LTT became the like quick and dirty, just get it out there channel, and now LTT has sort of become this much more elaborate production, and ShortCircuit is just going to be quick and dirty and
cut to the chase.
Yep,
ShortCircuit.
Exactly.
Sense.
Exactly. So, James came up with the name for it, actually.
Good name.
I liked it.
I'm surprised it wasn't taken.
It was kind of taken, but not by anyone relevant. So we just, there was like some podcast that had like 4 episodes from 9 months ago, and they hadn't uploaded anything since then. They had like 9 subscribers or something. Like it was, like, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, it already has 100,000 subs, right?
Yes. So, it is the first channel that we've ever started that had 100,000 subscribers before we uploaded a video.
That exact statement right there, I want to lean on and utilize, and is the actual reason why I brought this up. I'm happy you're able to announce your channels and everything.
Oh, okay. So there's an ulterior motive.
Yes.
Okay. Does it have anything to do with you bailing on me tomorrow?
I don't want to. Well, I'll figure it out. I want you to build a computer case.
Are we going to figure it out, Luke?
I want you to build a computer case.
Are we going to figure it out? Because it's Valentine's Day.
Out of play buttons.
Out of play buttons.
That you get from channels that you don't upload content to. So, I was working with Jono on this. I came up with a base idea, and then we grew it. So, we're thinking, if you name the channels, like right side panel 1, right side panel 2,
Lord.
etc., and then get enough people to subscribe to them, you could build a case out of play buttons.
We could. The case the community built. I kind of like it.
It would be awesome. It would actually be so cool. I think it's one of my very few ideas that I come up with that actually end up being pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's better than pizza warming PC, that's for sure.
That got a lot of views.
I still want to revisit that concept, but like better than what you did.
If a lot of time is taken, it would be awesome.
It would be awesome.
You would need a pretty significant amount.
Well, you just didn't do it the way that I had anticipated at all.
I was given, I think, because it was sitting there as an idea, and then suddenly it was like, okay, you have like 6 hours or something. And I was like, well,
I think I could have done something that made more sense than 6 hours.
Maybe. Got a lot of views, though.
That's true. People were so mad. Like, for over a year, that was like the video that people would point at and be like, this channel's gone to hell. And the stupid thing is they'd post like this channel's gone to garbage, like that video. And I'd be like, okay, how about something from the last 3 months that's garbage? They'd be like, well, that one was bad enough that it doesn't even matter if you've done only good stuff for 3 months.
We upload every day, and it worked. It just sucked in every other way.
You know what 2 other videos of yours created a ton of community backlash back in the day, but ultimately ended up performing really well?
What?
How to hide your materials.
Yeah.
Your materials with a lot of skin showing.
How's that doing?
Great. That
was it typed literally like that?
Yeah. That's what we called the video. We went totally non-AdSense safe.
It's actually a little worse than I thought, but yeah, quite
2.1 million views on that one.
Yeah.
And people were so mad. The like-dislike ratio is even fine now. And then the how-to basics, how to install a video card.
They hated that.
People were so mad. The like-dislike ratio is great, and there's one comment with a ton of upvotes. It's like, I don't really get why people are disliking this video. I needed to install a graphics card, and this was perfect.
Almost 2 million views.
Just a total noob who came in and that was exactly what they were looking for. But this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Where there's a video we want to make that's a tech, but if we were to upload it to LTT, it just wouldn't meet the community's expectations. And sometimes that's not a quality expectation. It's just an expectation. Like, sorry, this video just wasn't for you. It was for someone else.
I actually thought that video was pretty good.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
It's got 1.7 million views now because people do need to know how to install a graphics card. I'm sorry, you already know how, and we'll upload it somewhere else next time. But yeah, so that's kind of the update over here. So
just while we're talking about videos that work unexpectedly well or poorly, screen melter prank. This literally took probably half an hour from hey, I could do this to like pushing footage onto the whatever we used at that point in time. I think it was a server. And 8.6 million views.
Yep. That's one of our top performing videos of all time as Linus Media Group is the melting screen prank.
Which is just soul crushing.
Poor Taryn, look how young you are.
Yeah.
Wow, look how young you look.
No
You're like a baby.
There. Yeah.
Like a wee baby.
With the Zelda Breath of the Wild concept image as my background.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Star Citizen poster in the background.
Oh, yeah. How'd that work out for you? Well, one of those ended up being a success.
Yeah.
Squadron 41, anyone?
Oh, boy.
42? Whatever squadron
42.
it is.
Who knows?
It's a theoretical.
It's over now.
Theoretical
squadron. Well, not really, to be honest. Anyways, we can move forward.
Zach K, this channel's gone to garbage. I know, right? We're just going to make a new one. The new one's going to rise up from the ashes. All right, we got.
You should let me come back, and I'll do Pizza Heater version 2, and everyone will be so hyped because they'll be like, "Oh my God, he took all this time to do it properly." And then it'll just be cardboard again, and just ruin it.
It's like, well, what did you think I was working on? You know, I wasn't getting a metalworker's apprenticeship. I was building a video streaming site. It's not. I still don't know how to do this stuff.
Actually, work on computers less now. This is probably worse. Oh man.
Okay. Yeah. In other news, Tesla gave back the self-driving that they took away. Now, I still maintain that I didn't like the precedent that this set, and a lot of people I think misunderstood my comments last week when I was talking about this like dystopian future where you don't own your cars and the features are like tied to a personal license. So you just get in like what is essentially a blank car, and how nice of a sound system you get, or like, you know, whether the self-driving works or whatever else is dependent on like a license key that's embedded in your wrist and you just touch a spot on the dash. Like that future that I was talking about, I'm not jacked for it. I like driving.
You're excited?
Yeah. People thought I was excited. They're like, Linus, you're totally wrong, and that's never gonna happen. And like, you socialists, you know, just want. Like, I'm like, what are you even talking about?
It was an expectation. It wasn't excitement or desire.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm super sorry. People were like, it's never gonna happen. The horse and cart are gone. There were people that said it was never gonna happen. And it definitely won't happen in the rural communities because, you know, they're gonna need gas stations out there too. Well, turns out they eventually built gas stations there. Like, cars as a service is happening. It's just a matter of when. And the timeline, even Luke and I did not necessarily agree on the timeline. We both agree that it's going to take a long time. And yes, it will take longer to reach different regions. But what we were really talking about in all of this is the slippery slope that we're on, because neither of us is a huge fan. I actually found out not that long ago about all of the telemetry data that the Chevy Volt sends back to Chevrolet, to General Motors. And the funny thing about it is the Volt doesn't even have any self-driving. I don't even have adaptive cruise control. And yet, apparently, it's sending a ton of telemetry data. And as far as I can tell, it doesn't even use, like, I could see it using things like, you know, topographical data, like, you know, if I'm going up or down or whatever else to make sure that my, you know, cruise control would maintain the same speed, or, you know, use my regenerative braking when I'm going down a hill or whatever the case may be. But as far as I can tell, it's all reactive still instead of being... instead of anticipating. And I know that there are systems that do anticipate. So yeah, it's just sending a bunch of data. So we were talking about this in the context of like, this is a very dangerous, slippery slope that we're on, but it's happening because, yes, you, the viewer watching this show with your right to repair and your, you know, value of your personal privacy and all those things, you might resist it. But at the end of the day, you are a tiny grain of sand on an infinite beach. And most consumers will take convenience over security and privacy every single time. So we were talking about like what's happening and the concerns that we have, not necessarily because we are fans of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you need the proof of what I'm saying, Facebook.com. Do I need to say anything else?
I actually am not entirely sure where you're going with that.
It just exists.
But I'm jiving. Okay.
And has billions of users. That's my
you mean in
point.
terms of people giving up their
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah. I thought you were still talking more directly on cars.
No.
themselves.
I just mean like this is happening.
No, I got you.
I
think there will be versions of it starting extremely soon. I think last show when we disagreed on time, I was more thinking when it was like ubiquitous.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And even when it's ubiquitous, there will still be people who own cars. Of course there will, but it will be the exception, not the rule. Anyway, so in other news, Tesla gave back the self-driving that they removed. So they did that this week. It is unclear, though, at this time. Tesla has a bit of a policy of just like not talking to press about stuff, which is, I should have added that to my list of things that I don't really like about Tesla. So it's not clear if this is new standard operating procedure or if it was just a PR move because people were mad.
There's also, I don't know if this was fact or hearsay or whatnot, but I read something over the weekend that was talking about how it might have just been like a like purchasing invoicing issue where they like thought the owner and like timing with the owner selling the car, and it made it sound like they meant the new owner didn't purchase it, whatever, but really they just thought the original owner didn't purchase it. It was just like an error in entirety that is now fixed, but I don't know. I have no idea.
So it's possible the whole thing was just a weird misunderstanding, but
but
either
it could have
way,
also not been.
At least it generated a good discussion around the idea of licensed features on the physical items that we buy and how this type of thing could evolve in the future. Because I have no doubt whatsoever that it absolutely will. And nothing would prevent Tesla from changing their terms of service now that they've run into this situation to make it so that licensed features are separate from the actual hardware.
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily why they would want to do that. Like if they would want to nerf people's resale value on their cars, that seems just destructive to their users for no reason.
I don't think they would want to do that right now.
But you never know.
Don't suspect so.
You never know what the future holds. And it could apply differently. That was another thing that we talked about while we were going through our sort of dystopian vision for where things are going. It might not apply necessarily to individual users, but I could see them having a very different service term agreement, like a different service agreement with things like fleets of cars, where someone like let's say Tesla did a moving van, like a panel van, and someone like, Budget were to buy a whole bunch of them, or like U-Haul or something like that, had a fleet of Tesla, box trucks. If Tesla were to license them with this autonomous feature, maybe they would make them pay on like a monthly basis for the software upkeep that is pretty typical of something like a commercial hardware agreement. So it's pretty normal. It's becoming normal. Hardware as a service, right? Like Cisco's doing this with a lot of their networking gear.
Meraki stuff.
Yep. Whether it's it's just Cisco themselves as well. Even things like their routers now come with a. So you've got to buy the hardware in the first place, and then you also have to sign up for a service agreement, and you have to pay on a monthly basis in order to access not just the certain features, but even to have it work at all, is my understanding.
I remember that was so weird in I think 2013 when they first started the Meraki stuff. And then now, I don't think people even bat an eye, really.
Now it's becoming the norm because the reality of it is it generates so much revenue for them that as long as you've got a product that you know that your customers are going to need anyway, what you're effectively doing is you're finding a way to monetize that hardware over and over and over and over again. You're making so much money that you can dump it back into R&D, which is supposed to be the value of a service agreement, of a subscription for ongoing software support, that is hard for another competitor to come in and disrupt it. So it's in some ways, just please don't take this quote out of context, it's in some ways better for everyone. Because the consumer, by paying so much more, just hold on, I'm going somewhere with this. The consumer, by paying so much more, is ultimately getting more development time back into the hardware that they purchased. In a perfect world.
Okay, thank you. Awesome. Great.
In a perfect world. In a perfect world, this fleet of Tesla box trucks that U-Haul uses, right?
Yeah.
We're talking a hypothetical future situation. In a perfect world, U-Haul is effectively subsidizing Tesla's ongoing development of their Autopilot features. And then the consumer, this is another thing that really does happen in the real world, the consumer gets the cheapo one-time payment version that is also effectively subsidized by these large fleet purchases that have these ongoing service agreements. In a perfect world.
Yeah.
And
reality.
No, that does work out that way sometimes, where the consumer version is subsidized by the enterprise version that has much more onerous.
The amount of that goes into subsidizing the consumer version is fairly debatable. The amount of that just goes into
shareholders got to make money too.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh man.
Speaking of got to make money.
Making money. That makes sense. I was actually gonna segue in a different way, but
we got to do sponsors for the show today.
Yeah.
Vessi Footwear. Oh, do we have the water bucket? We got the water bucket.
Yeah.
I want to do the water bucket. Can I hold the bucket this time?
Sure.
Okay. You got to get the shoe then. Well, I have a water bucket in my lap. How am I supposed to?
Goodness.
It's Valentine's Day, boys and girls.
I knew there was something coming. I was like, why is he doing this?
Special day, special circumstances.
You know, that one time a year.
You know, I wasn't even planning to until you hesitated.
Okay.
Oh, so my goodness.
Go for it?
Yeah, go for it.
My hand is dry. My hand is in the shoe.
Vessi Footwear. 100% waterproof shoe using a knit material. You can walk through the rain, snow, mud, and slush without worry. Their Dymatex material regulates the temperature of your feet, and on hot days keeping you cool, and on cool days keeping you warm. They're flexible and they stretch, and it almost feels like a second pair of socks. They're super light, weighing only 175 grams, almost of the weight of an iPhone, and their herringbone tread pattern is designed to grip anything you walk on. You can get $25 off with offer code LinusTechTips. Is your hand dry?
Yes, completely.
High five. Nice. They're available in both women's and men's in a wide variety of styles and colors. You can check them out at VessiFootwear.com/LinusTechTips.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of water. The show is also brought to you today by Backblaze. Backblaze is an unlimited cloud backup service for Macs and PCs. What am I looking at? Yes, for just $6 a month. They've had over 35 billion files that they've restored to their users. You can back up docs, music, photos, videos, drawings, projects, all of the data, and you can restore your files from everywhere, downloading them directly, or you can actually get them to send it to you by mail. So you could purchase a restore via hard drive. They will overnight FedEx it to you, because the internet can be slow, you know how it is. And you can even use their mobile apps to access your files on the go. After you restore, by the way, by mail, you can actually return the hard drive to them for a refund on the hard drive. It's pretty cool. They've got no wonky cost structures. It's just unlimited data backup at a fixed price. Get a fully featured 15-day free trial at backblaze.com/WAN. We're going to have that linked right there. See it there, right there. And so you can go play around with it, start protecting yourself from potential bad times. It's good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, we had a long call with private internet access, and we have decided to stick with them for a number of reasons. Number one is that the community was either positive about it or indifferent. There were some that were against it, but it seems like the majority were like, okay, yeah, seems fine, whatever you guys go with, or they were positive about it. Reason number two is that they've made some pretty good moves over the last little while. In fact, this isn't actually in the WAN Show doc today, but they open sourced their Android app just yesterday. So they continue to do good things that increase our confidence in them. And from discussing this with both PIA folks and CAPE folks, they have a strong commitment to improve their practices, not just at PIA, but also throughout the entire organization. I have seen some people express concern that PIA will take some bad habits from CAPE, but from talking to those guys, CAPE seems to be very interested in PIA and how they've done business while respecting their users' privacy to the greatest extent possible, and are expecting to actually have it go the other way around, adopting more of PIA's culture to the rest of their properties. Bottom line is, I've been using PIA for years now. I'm still using PIA. So at the end of the day, if all it is an endorsement of what I trust and what I use, I never canceled my PIA subscription. I'm still using it. And what's really cool about our relationship with PIA is that we have no obligation whatsoever to say any talking points at all. You'll notice that I am doing a PIA sponsored spot right now, and I've gone completely off the rails talking about, how they were acquired and all this stuff. I have no talking points. They do provide us with, selling points of their product, but at the end of the day, if all I wanted to say about PIA is it's great for making sure that if you're going to download torrents, your ISP is never going to send you a letter about the copyrighted material you're downloading, I can do that. A lot of the negativity around VPN sponsorship seems to stem from a couple of videos from a couple of YouTubers I respect a lot, Tom Scott and Louis Rossmann. And the main problem that both of them highlighted, problems are a couple of things. One is shilling for products that you don't use or like. In this case, I've been using PIA for years.
Many.
I like it. Yep. So no concerns there. And number two was misrepresenting what VPNs do. So PIA has absolutely no obligations built into our relationship with them for what we have to say about them. And if you look at even some of the dedicated sponsored videos we've done with them, like the one on how to get cheaper prices on flights, that is something a VPN can do for you. Period. You can save all the money you spent on a multi-year subscription to PIA on a single flight purchase if you play your cards right. And we made a whole video showing you guys how to do it. So
someone did that for getting to LTX, actually. Saved a lot of money.
You told me about that.
Yeah.
So there it is. We're sticking with PIA. It's lmg.gg/PIA WAN. We're going to have that link down below, and you can expect to see us continuing to promote it. We just wanted to take a very careful approach to this because again, there's a lot of, regardless of what I use and what I like, there was a lot of potential for backlash in the community around a non-careful VPN sponsorship. And so we wanted to make sure that we were treading lightly. I wanted to hear from them. I wanted a commitment from them to how they were going to handle things moving forward after the Cape acquisition. I've got all those boxes ticked, so we're going to go ahead. That's it, and that's all.
Hopefully they don't go the way of Blizzard and just completely lose their soul to their parent company. But
I really hope so too. And from talking to both the PIA guys and the parent company guys, it seems like that's not the plan. But yeah. I know that rarely is the plan. And just know, guys, that we won't hesitate to drop them if it turns out that it is going to be a problem.
And I'm sure the Linus Media Group dudes and ladies will be listening to audience feedback if anything does seem to change. I think from a external point of view, the open sourcing of their Android app, which I just looked up while you were talking about it, is a really cool move.
Yep.
I think they're moving in the right direction as far as I can tell.
Nick's here for something really exciting. So we have actually, no, he legitimately has reason to be that excited right now.
Oh.
Because we have a new pricing structure for our shipping on lttstore.com.
Yeah.
Yes. So let me just give you guys the summary here. I'm just going to bring up lttstore.com. We've got USB Type-C shirts, the stealth hoodie, the hat, the other more different hat, the RAM shirt, the processor shirt. We've got so much stuff. Water bottles. Actually, are any water bottles in stock right now?
Regular and stealth, yes.
Oh, regular and stealth are in stock apparently. None of the special colors. Anyway, got lots of good stuff, including underwear. And we've got lower shipping rates than ever before. So in the US, we now have $8.99 flat rate 2 to 5 day shipping. Within Canada, we have $12.99 2 to 6 day shipping. And within the international everywhere else, we have $15.99 7 to 14 day shipping. So the biggest change is honestly international. Because within Canada and the US, actually the US is better now as well for a lot of areas, but international shipping with the old system that we were using was horrible. So going to places like Europe could cost as much as $40+. But now with our new deal, we are able to, and we're trying it out right now. If it turns out that, the majority of our international viewers are in like the middle of nowhere Mongolia or something like that, and our costs on the shipping end up being a lot higher than we expected, we might have to adjust it because we're setting these flat rates based on what we expect the average to be based on previous orders. But all of a sudden, a bunch of people in the middle of nowhere might be like, hey, I can afford LTT merch now.
My random guess would be that some people that have been holding off will order now.
So we're going to wait. What we're going to do is we're going to stick with this for a bit.
That's cool. That makes sense.
And then see what happens after the wave of orders from people who just haven't been able to afford their LTTstore.com merch is gone. And then we'll take, maybe another big sample after that and go, okay, now we can make any necessary adjustments. So
get your underwear now is what that means.
We're really,
darn comfy.
Yeah, we are really excited about the new rates, and we're going to keep trying to push the envelope, but this is a really good starting point and should be a big improvement for a lot of people.
The other thing for international is some places it was 45 days to get there before, and now it's 14.
Cool.
So
that's a pretty big improvement.
Yeah, we had people contact, and that was non-tracked. That wasn't even tracked shipping. That was just the cheapest option, and people would select it because it was the cheapest option. And then they'd message us after a month, be like, "Yo, where the f is my stuff?" We'd be like, "Well, you did select camelback shipping."
Some of them didn't have an option, to be fair.
Okay, in fairness, some of them didn't have an option, but it's just trust us, we sent it.
Most everything is tracked. And some international countries will be non-tracked within your country.
Oh, I see.
It'll be tracked getting from Canada to you.
Okay.
Or to your country.
Yeah.
And then getting within your country to you is non-tracked.
So we got some free tech tips from some good friends. Do we shout them out? Do we not?
No.
Let's leave it out.
Yeah.
But we got some good tech tips from some good friends, and we hope we have a better system for international shipping now. And we need you guys to help us stress test it, though. So LTTstore.com, suckers.
To be fair, there's not that much inventory, so don't stress test it too hard.
Stress test it hard. Stress test it hard. Nick's got a KPI to hit this quarter. Come on, guys. Let's go. Let's go now.
Well, there are outside factors that are limiting.
Yeah, I know. All right. Thanks,
we
Nick.
need more shirts.
Shirts are not a problem anymore.
Well, shirts have been a problem.
They have been.
Yeah, but we're good on shirts.
Within 4 to 6 weeks.
How many shirts do we have? 2,000 shirts coming in?
20.
20,000.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Guys, buy shirts.
All right.
That's what we need.
All right. It's fine. Everything's fine. LTTstore.com. So Sony is apparently struggling with the PlayStation 5 price due to costly parts. The original article is from Bloomberg.com.
Good.
And they report that the manufacturing costs for Sony's next PlayStation have reached around $450 per unit.
Fantastic.
Wow. Why do you think this is fantastic?
This is great.
Why is it great? Who is it great for?
The last generation
Enlighten
of consoles, I don't know if you remember this part in particular, but not usually, in the past, before the last generation of consoles, so chunking back a little bit, consoles were often sold at a little bit of a loss.
Yes, that is true.
And then they would try to make up money on peripherals and
licensing. And they certainly make back plenty of the money on the peripherals, Nintendo. 90 Canadian dollars for a Pro controller is not reasonable. Carry on.
Yeah.
I mean, you need 8 of the stupid things to play Smash, okay? 8 times 9. That is $720. That's more than the cost of the console.
By a lot.
Go on.
Yeah. So with the most recent generation of consoles, this was not true.
And there are games you can't even play with the Pro controller, like Mario Party, so you have to go out and get extra Joy-Cons. So you've got a total of 12 different controllers if you want to be able to max out all your different games. Plus, you can only charge the Joy-Cons when they're actually on a Switch, so you better keep a couple extra Joy-Cons on hand just in case a couple of them aren't charged because they actually take a while to charge.
Stonks.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
So with the most recent generation, that was not a thing.
Yes.
I believe, I'm going back on really old information that was from quite a while ago that I don't remember and I haven't recently looked up. But I believe average profit per console was around $20. Mm-hmm. Just not like insane or anything, but they went from losing money per console to making money per console. I'm not necessarily saying they're going to not make money on this one, but I think the performance jump we had to the last generation was a little bit disappointing for some people.
Really? I think that, okay.
And the reason I'm saying that from a PC perspective.
Okay.
So from a PC perspective, not the website, but, the more hardcore they go with their hardware, the better the experience the PC people are going to get.
Yeah, but the more like a PC it's going to be with respect to what's in it and how much it costs.
Whatever. Who cares?
Well, that's easy for you to say. Some people struggle to afford a $400 console, let alone a $500 console.
The current generation consoles are great, to be completely honest.
Oh, okay. So hold on a second. Are you saying that you don't see this as much of a problem because using a last generation console like a PlayStation 4 is going to be a far more viable option for much longer?
Probably.
Okay, that's an interesting take on it.
Current gen consoles can do a lot.
And they've talked a lot about the intercompatibility of the hardware and therefore the games. Interesting.
So you should still be able to be fine, and they will probably drop in price, so you might be more fine.
So tell me this. Would you expect to see Sony or Microsoft, either of them, employ a strategy where they launch an exclusive game to their new generation of consoles and then follow it up 3 or 6 months later with a version that is backported for their last generation consoles with less graphical fidelity and that runs at a lower resolution?
I could see that.
Would you be floored to see that?
No, I would not be floored to see that. I would not be too surprised. I would be maybe a little bit surprised from Microsoft. Microsoft has had some bad splashes and some good splashes lately. I think their gaming side of things has been pretty positive with the community. They've done some cool things. They've brought games to multiple platforms. I think their Game Pass is going quite well, all this kind of stuff. I think they're going to try to hold on to that positive communication, at least within that segment of their company.
But I think they could keep that pretty positive. They could say, like, look.
It's coming.
It's a PlayStation 5 game, or it's an Xbox Series X game, and it needs more development to optimize it for the older hardware.
I don't think that would go over too poorly as long as it was coming eventually.
Yeah.
Like if they set a date, they're like 6 months, whatever.
And we're working on it.
And even then, that doesn't seem, I don't think that would go over too poorly because to me, there's such a huge backlog of amazing games.
So I'm going to pitch something to you. So you're imagining then more of like a rolling upgrade.
Well, because, and I want to throw one more point in here for this. They are a lot more like computers. So I could literally see it just being where the previous gen are just cheaper computers.
I mean,
because literally right now, they're pretty darn close.
There's a limit to how cheap you can make a computer. So don't expect them to ever don't expect a PlayStation 4 to ever be $199. Like, it's just, it has to have a power supply. It's kind of like how hard drives can never get below $40. You have to have the housing and a motor. Yeah. And like there's just bare components that you need. You can't do a $50 PlayStation 4. It's not feasible. Just the plastics and the screws and the labor involved in assembling it. Like there's just
it might
all these
get
things.
pretty low, and you might get really cost beneficial bundles and things like that.
Yes, you might get software thrown in, for example. But that's really interesting. So if we were to see, okay, look, we've got these new generation consoles, but we're going to have games that are available concurrently. I mean, we've seen that before.
Oh, yeah.
Zelda Twilight Princess was available for both the Wii and the GameCube, for example.
Breath of the Wild was on Wii U.
Breath of the Wild was on Wii U and Switch.
It's fairly standard for it to happen at the beginning of a new console's life cycle.
But are you just expecting a longer rollover?
I think so. Yeah. I have no idea how long. I have no idea if this is going to be a thing, but I suspect a longer rollover.
People are saying PS4 has been $199, but okay, yes, US dollars. Sorry, I was thinking with my Canadian brain for a second right there. And also, that's not particularly sustainable. Just because it's a promo price doesn't mean that...
Could be a sale, something like that.
Yeah. Because remember too, guys, that hardware has also been around for
quite a while.
7 years now?
So,
6?
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, my point was just that there is a limit to how low you can go. So anyway, the biggest problems apparently... Oh, go ahead.
It was the end of 2013, but it was technically 2013.
Okay.
So
The biggest problems are apparently DRAM and NAND, both of which are in high demand from the smartphone market, and their ramp up to 5th-gen devices. From smartphone ramp up to 5th-gen... Okay, I don't know what 5th-gen devices is talking about, but it is expected that both DRAM and NAND are going to go up in price this year. Sony's CFO touched on this in an earnings briefing earlier this month, saying we must keep PlayStation 5's bill of materials under our control. I don't know how they expect to control that. Oh, I need to take this. This is the technician for the UPS that lit on fire in the server room.
Oh.
Do you want to go through the publisher's pullout of Nvidia GeForce Now while I go let them in? Hi.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm actually going to just finish off the current one that we're on. They did say that they need to keep the PlayStation 5's bill of materials under our control. I think he just said that. But he also stated that the coronavirus, while it has not yet impacted the PS5's production, definitely could, and the company has yet to decide how many PS5s they are actually going to produce in the first year, which could affect their costs, because buy more materials, you get it cheaper. Sorry. Moving forward to Linus's intro joke to the WAN Show, publishers pull out of Nvidia GeForce Now. NVIDIA's GeForce Now officially launched last week, but several big-name companies have pulled out of supporting the platform. Now, it was added to World of Warcraft's terms of service a while ago that you can't play WoW through this type of a service. I know that because I was trying to figure out why the heck I was banned, and that wasn't it, obviously, but I saw this coming. It does obviously reduce the attractiveness of the platform because Blizzard, Capcom, EA, Konami, Remedy, Rockstar, Square Enix games have all bailed out apparently, and so you can play games that you own on another platform through GeForce Now, so they are like disallowing that to happen. Which I really don't think NVIDIA would go against, so they should be blocking it. An NVIDIA rep said, we hope to work together with Activision Blizzard to re-enable these games and more in the future. You shouldn't expect Activision, this is an inserted part of the quote, Activision Blizzard games, to magically reappear after a few days, or even a few weeks. So no time soon, but potentially in the future. NVIDIA didn't want to discuss revenue sharing deals it may or may not have with publishers, but of course these decisions will have been made by publishers with an eye on the dollar. This whole thing is rather odd. I haven't seen GeForce Now having the hugest audience, at least in the short term. So I think this is kind of one of those things where all these companies stepped back but haven't closed communication, and they probably just want a piece of the pie. It's interesting because you already own the game or pay for the game actively, but now you're paying a different service to be able to play the game elsewhere, and those companies probably want a cut of that even though you've already bought the game. It's a funky space right now. Elon Musk's Starlink plan approved for Australia. The Australian Communications and Media Authority, or ACMA, is the latest agency to approve Elon Musk's plan to send thousands, or hundreds in this case, of satellites into space to deliver internet connections across the globe. The satellites won't require geostationary orbits. We've talked about this before because of the sheer scale of the deployment, so they can be much closer to the ground than traditional satellites, as close as 1/105th the altitude of traditional geostationary orbits. We've talked about Starlink multiple times on the show before. You need such agency approval in order to install the client-side receivers at your house. Okay, that makes sense. The plan will cost roughly $10 billion or more to complete. But this is about 1/5 of the cost of Australia's homegrown national broadband network, which sucks. Australian internet is terrible. Every time I bring this up on the WAN Show, I get at least one person being like, I live in Australia and I have a pretty good internet connection. But I know it's bad, man. I'm sorry for you. Your internet connection probably sucks, or you pay way too much for it. It's so bad. We try to get Floatplane into Australia, and it's just horrible. We've had to do, it's so much better now. It's way, way, way better now because of like things we've done and partnerships we've made and like tons of work that's gone into it. But like when we were first starting off, it was so hard to get Floatplane video, like high quality, good bandwidth into Australia. And like, there's a bunch of Australians that were on the Linus Tech Tips forum team. I'm just talking to them about their issues with their internet. It felt like you just went 10 to 15 years in the past. Like, it's so rough. So it's cool that hopefully they can try to alleviate these issues. And I understand there's like reasonable situations that got them to there. Like, I don't know. But I also know people that live in New Zealand and they have way better internet. So I don't know, man. It sucks. I feel bad for you. So hopefully this helps in any way at all. Latency, while worse than hardwired internet, so yeah, is still better than geostationary satellite connections. 25 to 35 milliseconds for Starlink rather than 600 milliseconds, or even the theoretical best of 477 milliseconds. So this will more help people that live outside of like Sydney. Like people that live like way out there. Australia is actually gigantic. If you like scale it, if you move it on one of those maps that like scales it properly to other places on the planet, it's huge. And plenty of people live not in those very centralized cities. So it's good. It's good. Excited about that. Hopefully it helps some people there get better, more stable, faster internet. We already talked about Tesla giving back the self-driving thing. There isn't a ton of news here. As we talked earlier, they don't do a ton of public-facing stuff, so unless it's like, you know, the Elon himself. Essential Phone is essentially dead. Essential has announced its closure after just 5 years of business. They released the Essential Phone. They were working on a handset called Gem, but there is apparently no clear path forward to deliver it, which is a little rough. The Essential Phone is going to be the last and only thing they've really done. It will no longer receive any official updates, but Essential has released its software on GitHub. We have a link to it now. Apparently it has already happened, so developers can keep hacking, which is actually very cool, I guess. Sad that they're gone, but that's a nice way to exit if they're going to have to exit. Give me one quick second. Okay, sorry, we're good. Sorry, I'm just flying through topics because there's no back and forth discussion. Steam Labs Experiment 008. This is actually pretty cool. Uses machine learning to help decide what to play next. It chooses 3 games based on what you already own and presents you with micro trailers for each. If you don't like your options, you can re-roll for a new selection, assuming you have enough games in your inventory. And I love how they have to give you trailers for games in your inventory, because I think a lot of people are in a situation like me. I think I have close to like 450 something games on Steam, and a huge portion of that is just Humble Bundle stuff that I have never launched and have had for so long. So I think it's actually pretty cool that they have something like this coming. I'm going to open the link for it and try to get it on screen in a moment. You have to sign in to see it.
Our server room is just super cramped. I'm just going to hang up a light for him so he can see he needs to get to the back of the UPS, which is like not trivial.
Yeah, that's not going to be great.
It's a good thing he's not as tall as you.
I can smell that.
Oh yeah, when the doors open, like it was on fire.
Yeah.
Like
jeez. I'm just surprised it's still so pungent.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so for the actual Steam page, you had to be logged in. So I found it on The Verge. Just give me a quick second. I'm hoping there's a screenshot or something, but I just see ads. I see so many ads. It's still loading. There's a, I don't know, some Jeep or something. More ads. More ads. More ads. Oh, that's it. That's the whole, okay. We're gonna leave again. Let me see if I can find a different article. I'm hoping someone has a screenshot. Maybe they've just only talked about it so far. Jeez. I like the concept, though. I would like to be able to... okay, so that's all you really get to see. That makes sense. So it's just a post about the article. Recommended games to play next. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Show in library. Tags on it. Okay. Not too crazy, but I like the concept because sometimes you can look at a Steam library of hundreds of games, many of which you've never played before, and be like, oh, I have nothing to play. I have nothing to do. So it's cool that it kind of siphons all of that down to 3. It just goes like, pick one of these, and you can re-roll it if you really want to. That might actually get me to play some of those games, which is cool.
Action jump. Wow.
Oh, God.
Yes. Oh, he made it. I'm back. So,
Nice.
what were we talking about?
I went through a lot of them.
Cool. So why don't I give an update on what's happening with our burning server room?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So basically what happened was, I'm not going to name any names, but it was one of our camera operators who's been with us for a very long time. He already messaged me, he apologized, and he had no way of knowing.
Okay.
So he accidentally plugged a very high wattage filming light.
How high wattage?
1,000 watts.
Whew. I already knew that. It just sounds cool.
Yeah, so I have an extension cord that runs out of the server room and then is just coiled on a hook on the wall right outside the server room. And the reason that that's there is because it's meant to be, in the event of a power outage, it's meant to be a quick and fast way without going and finding the key and unlocking the server room to get power to something in an emergency.
Some form of emergency power.
Like whoever's working on today's video, plug your workstation into this before your at your desk UPS dies so that you can get today's video out so everyone else can go home, we'll regroup tomorrow, we'll come back to the office. Like this has happened. So we've got both a network cable that's plugged directly into the switch and a power cable that's plugged directly into the UPS there for such situations. We've also
like the most important machine.
Exactly. We've also used the power cord for situations like, remember in Scrapyard Wars 3, the one with Austin? 2?
Dirty power?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've also used it in situations where like a lower quality computer power supply might have computer stability issues running off our admittedly not great power here in the building. If we plug it directly into the UPS, we've actually gotten more stable overclocking, for example. So it's handy to have it.
Yeah.
They plugged a light into it because we had an HVAC technician coming to look at one of our AC units in the server room, which was leaking, and he needed a light. So they plugged in this 1,000-watt filming light, and it started arcing and smoking.
Oh.
Okay, so what happened at that point was everything shut down because the UPS was arcing, and I pulled all the units out, and I realized the power units. So it has 4 power units, so that's a total of 1,200 kilovolt amps, or however they rate them. 12,000 volt amps, I think. Yeah, so did I say 12,000 kilovolt amps? Sorry, no, 12,000 volt amps. So that's how we have ours configured. This one can go up to 18,000, so you can do 6 power modules. And then it also has the rest of the bays filled up with battery modules. So I had some people on Twitter suggest that the batteries were old and that caused the problem, but the batteries were not the issue. Yeah, we should probably replace our batteries. It has been about 3.5 years, 4 years. And lead acid batteries do have a limited shelf life. So yeah, it's probably time to replace those batteries, but that was not the problem. So I pulled out the power modules and I realized one of them smelled of burnt electronics. So I thought, okay, maybe we fried one of the power modules by just sucking 1,000 watts from it suddenly, unexpectedly. Yeah. Now, that still shouldn't happen. Overcurrent protection should still, like, this is literally, it was either 17 or 19,000 Canadian dollars that we paid for this UPS. I would still expect it to have basic protections on it that would prevent an overcurrent event from causing it to light on fire or spark or whatever the case may be. So anyway, I pulled that power module out and I went, well, we're still well below the remaining 9,000 volt amps of capacity that these 3 power modules remaining, none of them smelled, would have, so let's give it a shot. Let's fire it back up. I fired it back up, and it started sparking in the back of the cabinet. So I wasn't that close to it the first time it was sparking. I was like upstairs, and people came running to get me. So this time I was right there, and I could tell that the arcing was coming from the back of the cabinet rather than the power modules that were inserted. And I hit the main cutoff, so we actually have like a 208 volt input that goes in, and then the UPS is hardwired into that. So I hit the main cutoff for it, and then it kept sizzling and, well, the sound of fire, basically. So when I say crackling, I don't mean spark crackling. I mean like bubbling plastic.
Oh boy, okay.
So my expectation now is that this unit is super fried. And before any of this happened, the front of the unit was still reading just like okay. So that was what led me to believe that it might be okay to turn it back on.
After you pulled one out,
yes,
and that was like burning, it still said okay.
It still said okay. So I powered it back up with the three modules instead of with the 4, knowing that, and it actually ran for like tens of minutes.
Okay.
Like I got back, everyone got back to work, and then
you were still in there.
I happened to be here again.
Oh man.
When it went, and so it was on fire for some period of time, seconds. Like I had long enough to go get the fire extinguisher that is right outside that room and stand there, like really didn't want to unload it in the server room if I could avoid it in any way. So I'm like standing there with this fire extinguisher, please let me not have to use this, because like you can't just blow on it. Like it's electrical fire potentially. Mind you, I've already cut the electricity, so I don't know if the rules change at that point, but
genuinely not sure.
Either way, I did not want to press the button in the server room.
Yeah.
I fortunately didn't have to. It went out on its own.
Cool.
But my take on this is I am out of warranty. So I've been totally upfront with Eaton about what the situation is. I didn't buy an extended service plan or anything like that.
But there's
So on the one hand, I am out of warranty. On the other hand, under no circumstances should a product designed for power protection light on fire. So after that fire, I actually did, or while it was arcing, before I had gotten the fire extinguisher, I managed to read some gibberish off of the display on the front. So that was the first time it ever actually knew anything was wrong, when it was literally on fire. And it didn't know anything was wrong, I don't think. I think it was just spitting random. Like it was like random special characters going across the screen on the front. So basically my thing with them has been like, look.
Linus, help me.
Look, I know I'm out of warranty, but also this thing failed in such a spectacular, dangerous way.
Catastrophic burn the building failure is like a little bit of a special case, I think.
So anyway, to their credit, this happened yesterday afternoon, and they have a technician here right now in our very cramped and uncomfortable server room.
Oh, he's like from Eaton.
Yeah. So we have an Eaton technician here in the building. So, I mean, really, I don't define a company's quality based on necessarily the performance of one individual product. We don't have, a data center full of Eaton power equipment.
Yeah,
we have one unit. We have a sample size of literally one.
Yeah.
So really, it's going to come down to how they deal with this. And on the one hand, I'm me, and you might think I would get special attention. And from someone like a consumer electronics brand, that is quite often the case. But I really don't think these guys knew me from Adam. So we're going to see how it goes. It does seem as though they are taking it seriously, just from this thing should not have been on fire perspective. And we need to know what happened.
I think that's fair.
I think that's fair.
There's a difference between like a warranty on your car and your car just randomly exploding.
And the technician is not here to fix it. He has no
investigation
capability to fix it right now. He's here to determine exactly what could have possibly happened for this to occur.
Oh, that's not him. Do you think it's like, I don't think you could fix it. This is like a replace situation, right?
Depends. I mean, this is a fairly modular and serviceable product.
So like the housing might be okay.
Yeah, but I think that they would probably end up replacing significant internal components. And if they ultimately came to me and were like, okay, look, you're out of warranty, but we can offer you a deal on a refurbishment of this unit or something, that would be fine. Honestly, it would be kind of preferable to me, because I don't know if you remember this, but in order to get that unit in there, we actually used to have an opening in the wall. We would have to rip open the wall in order to get it out or another one in. I hate our server room so much. People are like,
But hold on.
Yeah.
Great vlog content.
oh man,
Tons
I
of
don't even
views.
know if I could handle it.
Great views.
I'd just rather not have a camera pointed at that whole situation.
Guy's looking for you.
Oh, okay, yeah, BRB.
Yeah. I think he should just rip the wall down anyways. That's my theory, to be honest. Also, I saw tons of people in chat calling out for fire pole. I agree. That would probably stop that from happening again, for sure. That's how science works. I honestly don't have a ton of content left. We're slightly over show duration at this point, and I blew through a ton of the more boring topics. I can go into Puerto Rico's government fished with a PH, out of $2.6 million. I don't know if that is being registered in US dollars. Yes, it is. Okay, $2.6 million US dollars in a phishing operation. Industrial Development Companies, what a name. Finance Director, don't know how to say your name, but I'm going to say his last name, Rivera, says the government agency transferred the money on January 17th after receiving an email that alleged a change to a banking account tied to remittance payments. Okay. This seems like it may have been a targeted spear phishing attack. Executive Director Manuel Laboy, oh man, I hope I didn't say that wrong, declined to say how officials learned about the scam or whether anyone has been dismissed as a result. And I have no real details outside of that. So it sucks that Puerto Rico got phished for so much freaking money. It's always kind of epic in a way when governments have stuff like phishing happen to them, because it's interesting because you always kind of hope, I guess. I was going to say expect, and then I was like modern year. You always hope that they have like tighter locks on things like that, but apparently sometimes $2.6 million just gets whoop, sent where it's not supposed to be. So who knows? Backblaze hard drive stats for 2019 have been released. These have been very controversial over the years, so it's interesting, but take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. They have a little bit of an interesting use case, which is probably not what you're doing, but it's interesting regardless. Let me jump over. Whoop. Okay. Annualized failure rate, none of those look way too insane, but you can definitely see some outliers, and I believe this was detailed in our document as well. There is something to be said here for the actual amount of drives, so I wouldn't pay way too much attention to purely the just failures column. Some kind of interesting stuff is that like this one had 0, but there's also only 99 of them, so you kind of have to weigh and balance that stuff properly. Oh my. The one that had, sorry, I'm a little sick. The one that had over 1,000 failures also had like over 37,004 drives, which is pretty fantastic. But it was a failure count of 3.32%, which is a little higher than I would hope. But I believe they addressed this directly. Yeah, the Seagate 12 terabyte ST12000NM0007 are experiencing double the AFR of every other drive type, but Seagate's own 4 terabyte similar drive. Backblaze previously reported on these failures and began aggressively moving to the 12,000 series, 12,000 NM008 model that fixed the issue after working with Seagate to identify the root cause. I do wonder sometimes, like, on the consumer side of things, it's really hard to tell because most consumers aren't going to report failures, and even if they do report failures, you're going to have really bad sample sizes and all that kind of stuff. You do internal testing, you do what you can, but when it comes down to massive companies, and especially a company like Backblaze, who is going to be publicly posting these numbers, I suspect that's where you get a lot of your work done on improving stuff like failure rates. So that's cool. Annualized failure rate, or the acronym I said previously, AFR, for 2019 has increased sharply across 75% of the models in use, which this is one of the things that I said, like, sometimes Backblaze's numbers are scrutinized quite heavily, because why would 75% of the models all have sharply increasing AFRs. Who knows? Maybe something else was going on. Maybe there's temperature changes in the data center. I have no idea. I can make no claims, but they're very interesting numbers to look into. I actually enjoy it quite a lot, but just take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. It is not the same scenario your computer will be in back at home. Holy flippy phones, Batman. Motorola and Samsung both released folding phones this week. They're basically the same size. What do you guys think about flip phones? I'm going to take a moment to do a straw poll, and then I'm probably just going to end the stream. Because I actually want to go see what's going on over there. So I'm going to talk about flipping phones, and what I mean by that is if it like flips in a vertical, if it flips on the X axis, and then folding phones if they flip on the y-axis. So I'm going to just say regular phones, flipping phones, or folding phones. Which one do you like the most? Most flipping phones, folding phones, and standard phones. Improve spam prevention, even though people will find a way. Okay, I'm posting this in Floatplane first because I love you guys. Then Twitch, because, you know, OG WAN Show stuff. And then YouTube, because I didn't actually have your link up and I don't know why. I think I like foldy phones. There's also sliders that are becoming more popular these days, which is kind of interesting. Sorry, my voice is kind of taken off right now. I think I've been talking for a little bit too long, despite being sick. Okay, results. Let's check into it. We're not going to leave a ton of time for this. We're going to see those results come in live. Standard phones is 65% of the audience, but at fairly even amounts, 18, 19% fluctuating, folding phones and flipping phones are holding roughly the same amount of the audience. Oh, folding phones is starting to take over. Yeah, I'm not too surprised. So just in case someone missed that explainer, basically this would be a standard phone. If this phone folded in half, like down this way, that would be a flipping phone. If this phone folded in half, kind of this way like a book, that would be a folding phone. I lost track of it myself for a second. But I'm not too surprised by these results. There's actually more people into folding and flipping phones than I personally expected. But I think that's kind of cool because differentiation in that market is fantastic. I would probably have to go with standard or folding phones. I actually really used to like old slider phones just because they were extremely satisfying to use. Not because I would want to use one long term, and not because I would want to use one with modern apps and things like that. But yeah, one sec. Linus, I'm going to end the show. He's gone. Anyways, thanks for tuning in this week. Maybe I'll do super chats. How do I do that? Here we go. I'm going to do super chats. I actually remembered. It was close. Someone said, Dennis, please be my Valentine, but he spelled Dennis wrong, so I don't know, man. Previously spoken about. Okay, I can't answer that question. Please keep the server videos coming. Love them. I'm sure they will. I'm sure there will be a follow-up to the battery backup on fire thing. Free Google money. Thank you very much. Where do you see virtual reality in 1, 5, or 10 years? Do you think there will be a hard limit on the on the capabilities of the technology? From J. Trudeau, which is, I'm assuming, not our prime minister. Virtual reality in 1 year, I would see heightened adoption, but no extremely major changes, in my opinion. 5 years, I would see some amount of major changes, probably lighter weight, smaller headsets, probably definitely increased adoption rates. I think it was like 2 years ago-ish that I said I think we were 5 years out from it being a more acceptable thing for the average consumer. So Hopefully, if my time is right, we've got about 3 more years, but we'll see. And then in 10 years, I think it will be kind of a hybrid of virtual and, what is it called? Virtual and augmented reality. I think the headsets will be significantly smaller if they're not just glasses. There might be more, 10 years from now, that might not be far enough, but stuff like Neuralink, whatever Elon Musk's thing is, could tie into this stuff to make a much more interesting setups, but that might be more than 10 years out. I don't know. May I request the next tech link you host, Linus? You call the quick bits the heebie-deebies. Heeble-deebles. I have no idea. He's not going to see this, I think, so probably not. Can we get some sweet LTT athletic wear? I suspect that might be coming down the line eventually, but I literally know nothing. So I'm not sure. Sub to LTT's short circuit, or don't. I'm a super chat, not your Valentine's date. Good call. But you could subscribe. You could do that right now if you wanted to. Congrats on the new channel. Thank you. Love you, dudes. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you very much. Linus, I'm a weirdo too and have a VR/HTPC in the living room. What keyboard/remote do you use? I've seen that little thing in your vids. That's not what he uses at home. I don't know what he uses at home, but that is not it, I don't believe. Just got my 10 mil shirt. You all rock with Channel Super Fun back. When is the next big prank? Oh, geez. We'll probably have to see how well Channel Super Fun does. You should melt down a play button and use it in the PC and make another sketchy heatsink. That's awesome. Hold on. Oh, you guys can see my thing. Let's do that. Was there anything funky on the start menu? No, we're good. Okay, sounds cool. Moving on. Heatsink from play button. I wonder how many things they could make out of play buttons. And get Alex in on this. He's probably gonna be like nothing other than the heatsink because it's a stupid idea. But whatever, that's fine. I'll try. I really enjoyed the pizza warming case video. Thanks, man. Thank you, Austin Tanner. Partner with Michael Reeves for your channel Super Fun. That would be epic. He's awesome. If someone has an idea for an episode, how could they get in contact with someone to share that information? There's lots of Twitter accounts for people at the company. Almost everyone has a public Twitter account. You just tweet them. Or there's a few different emails that are pretty easy to find. Fun fact, the Cybertruck would be illegal anywhere that isn't the USA because of pedestrian safety regulations not being followed in the design. Okay. What are the odds of future accounting positions? One random fun fact about that, there are cars that are on the road in countries that would be illegal if that car was modified into that state by the owner, but because it was pre-approved by the country for the manufacturer, it is able to be sold in its current state. So who knows? Maybe the country will just be like, yeah, that's fine. Bring back the matching shirts. It wasn't a high five, it was a try five. Yeah, I wasn't really sure what he was going for, to be honest. So I just slapped it. Linus, when are you going to be on Hot Ones? I don't know. Possibly never. Nope, this person's not here for me. Okay. I'm just going through a bunch of these. Are the mouse pads coming along for the LTT store? I know literally no LTT store things, but I know the one that we have that's an LTT mouse pad is pretty sweet. I have literally no information for you.
I am so sorry.
I'm just finishing off super chats.
Okay, cool. I have a very small update for the people.
Okay.
It's dead.
All right. So it would be full replacement?
Super dead. So here, I actually have a great picture. He did manage to get at the back of it because he's some kind of ninja. Hold Hold on a second.
You're gonna you should refocus.
I will.
Okay.
I will refocus. Okay, so here, hold on. Is this my focus wheel? Where's my focus wheel at?
Yeah.
Ah, yes, there it is. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Oh. Oh, yeah. So you think that this is a dark picture, and it might be a bit of a dark picture, but that's not the main issue. The main issue is just that this thing is fried.
Oh,
AF.
boy.
So that's where the fire was. So
Yeah, I think that's pretty self-explanatory, actually.
yeah.
Giant dark spot on green PCB. Yeah.
Having a hard time getting the focus just right here. Hopefully that's good enough to close out the show. So they're gonna get back to me on Monday with what they can or cannot do for me. And yeah, hopefully. He says usually that kind of an issue is caused by a loose connection, and he thought it looked like there was no nut on this connector, but I think it was just because he was looking at the shot and it wasn't bright enough.
Well, that one looks like there isn't one.
Oh no, but that one has no
that
wire
doesn't
going
have,
to it. Yeah,
okay.
so this one, there's different ways to hook it up depending on whether you have single or three-phase power and what the input voltage is and stuff like that, if I recall correctly. So not necessarily every one of these, I believe they're called bus lines. Not every one of them would have a connector on it, but I showed him, no, there is definitely a nut on there, and it looks like a washer as well. So hard to say what's causing the arcing.
Would that be a them installation issue or a you installation issue?
Well, we had it installed, but we had it installed professionally. We didn't do it ourselves.
Okay. Okay. Is there a warranty on that service?
If there is, we would be past it.
Okay.
Because it's been like 3.5 years.
One last super chat. I'm 15, just bought a server. What should I do with it?
Plex. File server. Safe place to store your files.
Minecraft.
Own cloud. Okay.
Honestly, Minecraft could be a good one. And all of those.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you again next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
Bye!
Thanks for closing out the show for me.
Yeah.
I kind of had to deal with that.
We were like super out of tolerance that whole time.
Well, I kind of wasn't expecting you to keep going, actually. I thought you would just close it down.
I tried to yell at you and be like, I'm gonna end the show.
Oh, I was in the server room.
I know.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you. Yeah,
fine.
no, it's okay.
Well, I did a straw poll on what people like the most, standard phones, folding phones, flipping phones.
And you actually didn't lose any live viewers. Like, there's still like 1,200 people watching almost.
That's cool.
So
I'm happy because it was probably super
So
boring.
you're
You really have to go though, because I know